We've done this 8 weeks. Who thought in the beginning of this year, when we both went our separate ways, that we would end up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, in Week 8 of the NFL football season, talking about football like men?
I don't know. Da
knew?
I guess.
Yeah. Well, here's what Steve Wilkes does not know. He does not know how to coach football. Because Denver, okay, with Vance Joseph and his women's
white women.
White
women at.
Okay. Vance Joseph looked like fucking, as Mad Dog would say, Vince Lombardi on the sideline there. Tom Landry over there with a 45-10 molestation of the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday night. And Emmanuel Sanders threw and caught touchdown passes. And Josh Rosen, 21 of 39, 194 yards and a touchdown.
Carolina is
Arizona
is a JV football team.
Oh, it's bad.
It's terrible out there. But it's Arizona. They have fair weather fans. Kurt Warner is not walking through that door. Anquan Bolden is not walking through that door.
Sure.
They have a lot of problems, and it was just an annihilation. Anytime a team like Denver, who's terrible, goes into your home, and plays a night game, national television just annihilates you. Mike McCoy got fired after the game, which is not a shock. We've seen that now, with 3 or 4 teams.
He was with Tennessee, wasn't he?
Mike McCoy, yeah. He was sent back from his time with San Diego, but this is the third team to fire a coordinator, because that's going to solve all the problems. Now they're automatically going to be.
Now they're going to come out and be world beaters.
Yeah,
they're going to upset the.
There has to be a fall guy. But after the game, Wilkes did a press conference, and he said there's reports that McCoy's going to get fired and blah blah blah, and that's not true. And then sure enough, the next morning he gets fired. So, they're in complete disarray. They have a terrible head coach. They have a terrible team. I think I said this week too, maybe, that they're the worst team in football.
Yeah, you're right so far.
I think they are so beyond bad, but they're Arizona, and no one really cares. They're out there in the desert, and casino, they're just getting buried in the desert.
Sure. Well, here's the deal. We're gonna touch on that in a moment.
Okay.
Because I think there's a team that's worse than them. We've talked about this. We'll get to that game in a moment. But beforehand, let's talk about the game that had you fired up. The Tennessee Titan Los Angeles Charger game in London.
Yeah.
Was it London? Yeah, it was London.
Oh, yeah.
And Vrabel going for 2. Was it Vrabel?
Yeah. Tennessee.
Yeah.
Our day starts early in the morning at 9, and the game started at 9:30. So I was following on my phone, while we're working, whatever. Anyway, Tennessee was losing the entire game. The Chargers were up consistently between.
They were up 17-6 at one point.
Yeah, 7 to 11 points the entire game. And, it came down to the end, Tennessee got the ball back, and they went down and they scored a touchdown. And they would have tied it up if they had kicked the ensuing point after attempt, and tied it up at 20-20 going to overtime, roll the dice, and, and Vrabel, for some reason, decided to go for 2. Now, this is a conversation, that you can have if you're Mike Tomlin, if you're Bill Belichick, if you're Andy Reid, if you're a guy that's been, in the league, Mike McCarthy, a guy that's been in the league or been with a team for 7 to 20 years, says, you know what, I see something, and I think we can score right now. Let's go for the win. Let's rip the Band-Aid off, and let's flip the coin, and we'll see if we can win. Now, if you're Mike Vrabel and you're a first-year head coach, and your team has been losing the entire game, your team just got annihilated by the Baltimore Ravens. You're in London. It's a 2-week process for the London trip to go over there and do all the shenanigans. I've done it. It's a nightmare. And to be losing the entire game, to come back and with your last possession go down there and score, you gotta kick the extra point and go in overtime and roll the. I mean, you can't. If I'm the owner of that team, the Tennessee Titans, I'm looking at it and say, look, I understand if he gets it, he's a hero, but you can't do that. That's how coaches lose their jobs. That's how players. They're fighting back 53 men to come back, and the guy decides to go for 2. And if he gets it, he's a hero. But still, even if he gets it, I'm the owner. I'm like, what are we doing here? We're a 500 football team. This is a game we have all the momentum going. Why go for 2? And they didn't get it, and they lost. And
Chargers got a gift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, now here's talk about a gift. Yeah. Pats held on to win. It was back and forth game. It should not have been this close. The defense, again, it played well, but it also didn't play well, if that makes any sense. And at least they stopped them at the 1-yard line on a Hail Mary situation. Shades of Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. And they held on to beat the Bears 38-31. The spread was 2.5, so they covered. But at the end of the day, our offense looks great. We had some scares. Gronk didn't play. We had some scares, though, with Michelle. And he's going to be okay, I think it says. He's going to be fine.
Well, according to you at the beginning of the season, I didn't even need him anyway, so. Well, yeah. Look, Chicago's a good football team. I mean,
football.
They're in this day and age in the NFL for 2018. They are a good football team.
They're 3-3.
They're a good football team, and that's then
with Matt Nagy.
That's not an easy place to play. New England went out there, and the thing you got to look at in New England is every time that they play at a game, teams for some reason they play a little bit better. They want to beat New England. It's not like Chicago has the Denver Broncos coming in or the Arizona Cardinals. Don't get me wrong, everyone wants to play and everyone wants to win, but when the New England Patriots and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, this dynasty comes in, everyone wants to step up their game a little bit. So you got to always put that as a factor. But at the end of the day, New England gets another win on the road. They're 5-2 now, right? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about this with another gentleman who still thinks Kansas City is the best team in the AFC, and I think New England is. After Week 3, after the Detroit loss, New England has somehow found its way back to being arguably first or second in the AFC. They have the tiebreaker with Kansas City if they should tie each other at the end of the year, which I think at worst there'll be a tie. But I think New England now has gotten through a very difficult portion of their schedule. With the likes of Kansas City, Chicago on the road.
Zebras in the road.
And I think New England is year after year we count them out early on. We say they're bad, they're really bad. And I know the defense isn't where we need it to be, but at the same time, they have Tom Brady. Gronk didn't play. Michelle's out. They're always going to find a way to win the game, and I think at the end of the day, they're not going to lose a game in their division. They're going to win the AFC. They're going to have home field. They're going to be back in the Super Bowl, and then at that point in time, then you can really say whether they're a legitimate football team or not. But until then, you have to take advantage of the AFC. Very, having bad football teams top to bottom, but New England does what they need to do.
Well, look, you want to talk about legitimate football teams?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and this is where I think differ.
Yeah.
And we differ, but it's not as wide of a margin as I think you think it is. Arizona is the worst team in football. Yeah. Record-wise, they are.
Yeah.
But I agree to an extent. However, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who I think at one point was the worst team in football. And yeah, they beat Minnesota based on, anybody can fucking get miraculous.
I see that.
Here's the deal: 37-5.
Sure, they lost.
Sure, they lost to a Colts team that was 1-5.
They're terrible.
Bills are horrible.
I'm not disagreeing.
But you think, okay, now think about this. What's a worse loss? 37-5 to the Colts.
Yeah.
Or 45-10 to the Broncos. Are the Broncos a better team than the Colts?
One team's at
Arizona's at home.
At home.
Arizona lost at home.
Correct.
Okay, Bills lost on the road.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
what do you think?
I would think.
You think 45-10 to a better team?
It's the same. 45-10 in 30. What is it? 34-5.
37-5.
It's virtually the same.
Correct.
It's virtually the same. I mean, we're
you can't even score a touchdown.
We're splitting.
Derek Anderson, 175 yards, 3 interceptions.
Again, the Bills are terrible, but Arizona's worse.
Okay.
And I think if they played head to head on a neutral field, Buffalo would beat Arizona.
All right. Poll question.
Okay, poll question.
Poll question in the comment section below. Which team is the worst team in football? Is it the Arizona Cardinals? No, let me rephrase. I agree with Pat that the Arizona Cardinals are the worst team in football.
Okay.
However, how big is the margin? Is it very, 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 very close, or is it night and day? So,
I don't think it's night and day.
But do you think it's very, 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 very?
They're
very,
both
very close?
terrible.
Okay, 6-10 and 5-11 are both terrible, but 5-11's a little bit worse. So again, 2-5 and 1-6 are the same difference. Splitting hairs, if you want to call it that. Yeah, you have one more win and one less loss.
Well, what is Buffalo's record?
2-5.
2-5. What are the other teams that are 2-5?
The Colts.
Okay.
I think that's it. I don't know. We'll go through the standings.
Yeah, I was gonna. I mean,
but the Raiders are 1-5. Which team is worse, the Raiders or the Cardinals? Technically, the Cardinals by half a game because they played one more game than them.
Correct. I get what you're saying, but it's an opinion.
Sure,
it's an opinion question. If they want to take the time, I don't want to say. I don't want to. If someone's going to actually take the time to do this, I want a legitimate explanation why one team is worse than the other.
Oh, wow. All right. Breaking news from Jordan Renan on ESPN. Pat Shermer.
Yeah.
We traded 2 players. We're moving on. He talked to the players, didn't get any questions. He thinks the idea they're giving up on the season is disrespectful to the locker room.
They're done.
Yeah, sure, they're horrible. Why? Oh, so there you go. Are they the worst team in football? The Giants? 1-6?
No.
Well, here's a team that is just nobody can figure them out, and those are the Detroit Lions with Martha.
Are you going to go back to the trades about the
No, we'll do that later.
Okay.
But Martha, the Lions, 32-21 triumph in Miami, by the way. Tough place to play.
Sure.
And Fat Man Patricia's 3-3. He's ready to ship. Paul Pasqualone.
Defensive coordinator.
Paul Pastrami fries.
Pastrami fries.
All right, so there's not much to say about that. Osweiler, again, had another decent game. 2 touchdowns, 239 yards. Didn't turn the ball over, I don't think.
Well, I think there is something real quick to say. You know, if Miami, it's almost like forever, for the last, 20 years is a long time.
What are they, 4-3 now?
Yeah. Miami, Buffalo.
Case is in trouble.
Miami, Buffalo, and the Jets are just like that. Those dogs that you just see swimming in water, just staying in neutral. They're just paddling. Like they team like Miami, starts off what
3-0.
3-0. Now these are the games that you need to win in order to make that next step in the NFL. You can't lose to Detroit at home. You take a step back, and Miami is an average football team.
Speaking of an average football team, Minnesota Vikings were an average football team early in the season. They throttled the Jets 37-17. It was 10-7 at the half, and then forget it. Kirk Cousins, he played okay. That's pretty much that. Thielien's fucking on fire.
Yep.
God, one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver statistically right now in the league.
Is he?
Yeah, he's number 1, I think. Fantasy-wise, definitely, I think. Vikings 4-2-1, good for them. Next game, and EDP was right about this in his rant video. And I had asked you this the other day, and you didn't think it was quite accurate, but it ended up being accurate. You weren't sure, but you thought it might not have been accurate. He said that the Panthers outscored the Eagles 21-0, and they did. The Eagles had a 17-0 lead after 3, and Carolina outscored them 21-0 in the 4th. And
that's a bad loss.
Oh,
that's
God.
a terrible
and
loss.
EDP's talking about Jason Schwartz. Jim Schwartz and his Dan Jacobs attitude with his come here girl, I got some candy in the back seat for you.
Yeah.
You know?
I think he said, quote unquote, sticks his nose up at people.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And Billy Bob Thornton, Bad Santa-esque with slamming against the pinball machine in the mall.
Sure.
That's what Jim Schwartz looks like, the type of guy he kind of looks like.
Yeah, he's got that trash stash sometimes he likes to wear.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but I think all you have to ask Jim Schwartz is what his record was as a head coach with the Detroit Lions, and he'll come back to earth.
Speaking of coming back to
earth. First of all...
that was a good transition. Go
ahead. Well, you didn't...
Sure. I thought you were done, but go ahead.
It's frustrating. It's so frustrating as a Patriot fan to see the Eagles the way they're playing now.
Yeah.
To see what Nick Foles really is and really was, and how one game in the Super Bowl Nick Foles has a career game, and with all the things that happened with New England in that one game, how Nick Foles and the Eagles were just clicking on all cylinders. No one touched them. They scored third down conversion. And don't get me wrong, New England's defense didn't play good enough to win. They didn't deserve to win. But at the same time, you look at a team now that less than a year later, they have their guy back, they have their quarterback back, they have their wide receiver back, and you go up 17-0 in the fourth quarter, and you lose 21-17 at home. Philly is, as Bill Parcells says, you are what your record is, and that NFC East is just.
It's bad.
It's terrible. I mean, it's absolutely terrible. Yeah. It's got to be the worst division in football. Mm-hmm. I would have to say. I mean, I'm just speaking. I haven't looked at the 8 divisions, but this is the time where Philly, and all I hear is Lane Johnson. We'd rather have fun and win one. How much fun are they having right now? Losing. To a Carolina team who maybe is maybe the most underrated team in that league. No one's talked anything about Carolina, but that's a terrible loss for Philadelphia. That's a terrible loss, and I wish I could say I felt bad for them.
Well, do you feel bad for the Browns? This is their fourth overtime game of the year.
Yep.
They lost again in overtime. They're now 2-4-1. Chandler Catanzaro.
Yeah.
If you remember, he missed the game-winning field goal when the Pats played the Cardinals a couple of years ago.
Sure.
He missed that opening night. 59-yard fielder he got, the longest ever in overtime, by the way.
Wow.
And the Buccaneers are now at 500.
Buccaneers are terrible. They're a bad football team.
Bad.
They're terrible. That's a guy that, and it's just like you can't overhaul the whole thing, but in Tampa Bay, they started off, Ryan Fitzpatrick, it was looked like he blacked out for 2 weeks and he decided to become, Kurt Warner. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now they've come back to earth, and I think Cleveland's playing good football. It's just the record is, like I just said about, the Bill Parcells, you are what your record is, and they are what they're at, 2-4-1. That's such a young team, and I don't, there's silver linings and everything, but at the end of the day, these overtime losses, and again, is going to help them in the future. But with that being said, I don't know how much more patience you can have in Cleveland. But Tampa Bay is a terrible football team.
Jacksonville, have they fallen back to earth after that dismantling of the Pats? Blake Bortles looked like, Peyton Manning in his prime. He got benched. But he's starting. Marone already told the media he's starting in London. But Texans, they won 4 in a row. They're back in the fucking deal.
Yeah.
4-3. Bill O'Brien's
playing
with his little
hot seat. And I don't know if we can rewind back to the conversation that we talked about. And he said Bill O'Brien should get fired, blah, blah, blah. And I said they always find a way to win that division, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And now, look, they're 4 in a row. And granted, they haven't beat, the Vince Lombardi Packers, or the mid-90 Dallas Cowboys, but they're beating the teams on their schedule. And, they're playing Thursday night or tomorrow night, so it should be interesting to see how the Dolphins can rebound.
Saints barely won. And here's another, and you look, at the end of the day, Ravens at home, they defense played good for that explosive New Orleans offense. They had a 17-7 lead, though, going into the fourth.
Sure.
And Justin Tucker, the guy's never missed an extra point in his career, and bad time to miss one because they would have tied the game up. And Flacco played well, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ravens, they're in the middle of the pack down the AFC. New Orleans, my Super Bowl pick out of the NFC, is now 5-1. Rams are still undefeated. They just,
slaughtered. It was a slaughter. Yeah, it was like a sheep.
It was. If you're a 49ers fan, you thought you had a shot after the first quarter. It was only 3-0. And then at halftime, all of a sudden, it's 22-7. 22-7, and you're just saying to yourself, "Look at me over here," like glasses would. Yeah. Speaking of "look at me over here," Jason Garrett. This is probably his last season in Dallas. I know Jerry Jones has said that lately he's not talked well about it. It's
gotta be.
And here's the thing. So what do? They trade a first-round pick to the Raiders for Amari Cooper, and that's going to do anything. The bottom line is, and I still believe this. Dak Prescott is not as good as everybody thought he was. He's serviceable.
I was going to say serviceable.
Serviceable.
Yeah.
And that's what he is. And I don't care if he has Amari Cooper. And I don't care if Amari Cooper decides to go back in time and gain 3 years of his life. That's not going to matter. The Cowboys, maybe with Amari Cooper, will sneak into a wild card spot, and that's a big maybe. That's a big maybe. Big maybe. But, Alex Smith is just la-di-don on the top of the NFC East.
Well, I think...
Guy missed a field goal to tie the game at the end of regulation.
The trade... Look, that's classic Jerry Jones, Let's go out and get this receiver who's top 5 talent. He's a sexy guy and blah, 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 and all this. Let's solve all of our problems by trading a first-round pick. And that's why Jerry Jones should not be the general manager of that team anymore. It's not a good. It's just not a. It's a last hurrah. Jerry Jones is more concerned about selling jerseys, and making money than he is about his actual. Because if you really care, don't get me wrong, Jerry Jones is a brilliant businessman. Anyone who could build the Cowboys like he's done and. He's worth, a gajillion dollars, and you don't do that by accident. But at the same time, he still wants to run the show, and a first round pick for Amari Cooper is just not a good trade. I mean, that's going to come back to hurt him again. It takes them one step back because now they lose a first rounder. And don't get me wrong, you get a great receiver, but at the same time, the only reason that Dak Prescott came on the scene so quickly is
because Romo got injured.
Romo got injured, but Ezekiel Elliott had an unbelievable year with 1,700 yards on the ground, and the offensive line was great. And Dak was in that scenario that Tom Brady was at the beginning of his year, or Ben Roethlisberger was at the beginning of his career. Was just don't lose the game, make plays when you need to make them, and we'll let either the defense or the running game be the focal point, and then. The difference between Dak Prescott and Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger is, the latter have taken off and become Hall of Fame quarterbacks, where Dak Prescott has never improved his game enough to be a feared quarterback, and I don't think he ever will be.
I agree with that, and here's the thing. At the end of I forgot what I was going to say. It had to do with Dak Prescott. Oh, yeah, you make this trade. You make the first-round pick. If you're close... If you're like a playoff contender already, you trade a first-round pick to get over the top and get a guy like Amari Cooper to maybe give you that extra push to maybe make a Super Bowl run. You don't make the trade to barely make the playoffs, and then Amari Cooper could get injured and everything else. It's more of a gamble. It's still a gamble, but it's more acceptable if you're going and you're about to make a Super Bowl run, not. Hope to God win that crappy division and get one playoff game and we're out 27-3.
And that's why I think he made the decision to sell jerseys and have some sort of more interest and come to see the Cowboys because we have this big hot new receiver. But at the end of the day, they're a terrible football team, and Amari Cooper is not going to help your defense.
Well, playing the Chiefs isn't going to help your defense because they destroyed the Bengals 45-10.
Yeah.
All right, not much to say here. Mahomes, 22 touchdowns. I think he set another NFL record in his first 8 games. He has 22 passing touchdowns, on pace for 1 million. What is he? 22-8. So 22-7.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be 44 for 14. Brady's record's 50, correct?
Yeah.
50. I don't think he'll break it, but you never know. I mean, 45-10.
Even if he does, he could throw for 85 touchdown passes, and he can run up the field against Cincinnati. He can run up the field against the Colts and the Texans and all of these teams. When it comes down to it, I think the kid's got some good grit. I think he's a competitor. He can make some throws that not a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL can make at an age like he is. What is he, 23 years old?
Sure.
But at the end of the day, what it's really going to come down to is that he's going to have to go at some point in the playoffs, and unless New England, falter, he's going to have to go into New England in a hostile environment, and he's going to have to win a game, a 4-quarter game against the New England Patriots. And you can throw all these numbers out the door. That's why I don't think football is a game of numbers, because you can score 6 touchdowns in one game and then play a team like New England and throw 3 picks and in the AFC Championship game, and then everyone's talking about, oh, is he really a good quarterback? Blah blah blah. I think the true test to being a good quarterback in the NFL and the history of the NFL is your wins and your losses.
Well, talk about wins and losses. The Giants have a lot more losses than wins. And why don't you talk about this game, because this fucked you on the spread. Is that a fly over there?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of? Let's talk about this game. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons with a nail-biting win. Not really. But why don't you talk about Eli Manning, 399 yards, by the way. Sterling Shepard, 167 yards receiving. You still lose.
Yep.
So go talk about how the Giants fucked you.
Well, it's just interesting to see a coach the way that Pat Shurmur has. We were following this game. I was catching up on Manifest, 3 straight episodes, which I'm down on. Manifest to me has been the Jacksonville Jaguars. But with that being said, Atlanta, they had this game won, and they almost allowed the Giants to come back, and it was 4th and 3. They decided to kick a field goal. The Giants come down and get the 2-point conversions, and so on and so on and so on. And once again, the Pat Shurmur, and I discussed this with Andy, and I know Andy, he wants to, and it wasn't Andy's, he was just telling me what they were saying on the radio, okay? But you're down by 2 touchdowns. You just scored the first one. Why do you go for 2 on the first? And he was, don't get me wrong, the head Shurmur said, we knew we were getting the ball back, but even if you did get the ball back, you still had to score another touchdown, and then you put yourself in a situation. I don't see why these NFL head coaches, these guys, especially if your record's 1-6, why you go for 2. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, what are you doing? Because then if you don't get it, then you got to score twice, because you got to score another touchdown, and then you got to score a 2-point conversion. If you know you got to score 2 touchdowns, and you definitely want to go for 2, that's great. Go do it on the second time. Why do it on the first time?
Yeah. Well, Packers, Raiders, Steelers, and Seahawks all had buys.
Okay.
Let's go to the comment section now.
All right.
Okay, we got a couple of comments here.
I
This
didn't
is
even
pretty
read
funny.
the comments. And you still have to show me the film of.
Dylan of Cali guy. Yeah. So Noah Treatall.
Yeah.
This poor fucker. Listen to this guy.
Yeah.
He goes, also, there seems to be something wrong with your scoring. I went 8-7 last week. You can see my unedited picks on the week 6 vid.
Yeah.
But you have me listed as 5-10, and my scores reflect that. I don't know if you have me confused with someone else or what, but I'd like that corrected for the future.
Sure.
And I'm thinking to myself, how could I have fucked up that bad?
That's not even clear.
Okay, so you ready for this?
Yeah.
I said, bro, I looked back at last week. He definitely went 5-10. You might want to double check.
Yeah.
Are you not doing the spread? Because I went 5-10 with no spread, 8-7 with. If that's the case, that explains why I'm doing so ass. I don't even know the fucking rules, laugh my ass off. I've been using the spread you guys use in the video. So this poor fucker the entire season has been doing the spread. He hasn't been doing just pick'ems. So that's why his record reflects the way it is. So I'm sorry, bro. It sucks. But I've said it a million times in the video.
At least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
I respect you being upfront about it and just being like, someone could have said like, oh, blah, 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 and this and that, and, you know, at least he was honest about it. He made a mistake.
Sure. Made a mistake. Well, try to get yourself, your goal, Noah, is to try to get yourself out of the basement, because if you can do that, then good for you. That'll be one hell of a comeback to at least get out of the basement there. And I don't mean second to last. I mean, you know, if you can get up to like 3/4 down or even halfway up, that'd be one hell of an accomplishment. Now, we talked about Arizona.
Yeah.
I believe. Oh, no, we talked about Houston.
Yeah.
New Jersey Swag 27 Judge. By the way, New Jersey Swag 27 Judge, you went 13-1 last week.
Good job.
Best record so far this year.
Wow.
Only one person, by the way, has ever gone undefeated in a week in this history of the. I'll pull an Adam Shine in the 4-year history of fantasy football with Mclovein. But here's what he says. I'm a Texans fan, and I just want to know if you guys think he should be fired. Most Texans fans want him fired, me included, because he's just a horrible coach. He is so overrated because he came from the Patriots. But every year he's been our coach, we have just been so dysfunctional, and he is a horrible play caller, and I'm of it.
Well, I don't think he's wrong with any of that, but at the end of the day, you know, you gotta take advantage of where you are, meaning they're in a AFC South division, okay, with the likes of Jacksonville Jaguars, where, you know, people 1,000,000% overrated them this year. You're in a division with the Tennessee Titans, who
I still think it's a horrible football team. But
no, I understand, and you know, they're a 500 team. Okay, then you have the Indianapolis Colts, who are terrible. Okay, so when you're Bill O'Brien, and you have the luxury of starting 0 whatever, or losing 4 in a row, but still knowing you're in a division, because no one in that division is capable of creating some sort of dynasty, and the fact of the matter that you don't have a one team that's going to win that division every single season. If that was the case, then O'Brien would have been fired 3 years ago. But what Bill O'Brien has going for him is the fact of the matter that he just ran off 4 wins in a row like he's done the last 3 or 4 years. And what like I told Andy is, like, you know, they're probably going to win that division again. You know, they'll go 10-6, they'll go 9-7. They're going to play New England on the road, and they're going to get beat. And then you're the owner of the you know, of the team, and you say, look, this guy has gotten us division, you know, he's won our division, you know, 2 or 3 times now. Do we fire him? And you think, okay, it's always the adage, if you fire somebody who just went 10-6 or 9-7 in one division, you have to have somebody to come in that you know. You can't just fire him to fire him, especially if you're firing him after a winning record. Okay, I think Bill O'Brien is a decent coach. I think he's sloppy. I don't think he thinks things through. I think that, you know, having a guy like Deshaun Watson and having that firepower on offense they're gonna score a lot of points. If you look at the team as a whole and you put another head coach in there that was a very good head coach, this team would be a lot better and they'd be more consistent. So I don't think he's a good head coach. Do I think he's going to get fired? If he keeps on winning divisions, or if he keeps on, you know, somehow getting into the playoffs, you know, he could be at a Marvin Lewis situation. Yeah, you know, have him be in there for 18, 19 years. And I'm not saying Bill O'Brien's going to be there for 18, 19 years, but at the end of the day, you know, if you're an owner and your head coach is winning games, it's very difficult to go out there and fire him, even though the fans don't want him there. But if he wins, he wins. Here's something that's easy to not have to worry about doing. Hector Flores, Vatic says, another one is out of the standings. Another one bites the dust.
Yep. Then we got the Mushy Brain, and he was actually doing well this year.
Yeah.
Laughed my ass off. What the fuck? Long past deadline DQ'd. The mushy brain. Vadix 99. I was only late for Thursday night though, and I did not have a great week. I did not have that great of a week. And he put a crying, laughing face. Vadix 99. Doesn't matter. You are still DQ'd for late picks. Those were the rules from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The mushy brain. Vadix 99. Really? I thought it was just for those games. Well, you thought wrong. Mad Godfrey. Okay. J18 Sanchez Jr., first of all, has been disqualified for 1,000 years, but he posted his picks in Matt Godfrey's comment of his picks.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan McLean goes, J18 Sanchez Jr., why are you posting your picks here? Stephen Wolf, Vadix 99, more waste of time, you're out of the standings. Stephen Wolf, shut the fuck up, I can do whatever I want. Dan McLean, laugh my fucking ass off. Vadix 99, keep wasting everyone's time, you autistic twat. So there you go. There you go. Some Vadix 99 for you this week. Yes to anything that is cool, awesome. Come on, Andy. How do you go from correctly typing 3 gift cards I won from you last week to putting me down to 2? Please correct that again. Thank you, sir. And yes to anything that is cool, awesome. You were correct. So my bad. Amazement 717.
I will just to interject. I've been trying to get. You should see Andy working on an Excel, and it's like watching. The first baseman from the Dodgers last night tried to catch a fly ball.
David Freese.
Backing up all over the plate. I'm like, Andy, I could run a class on Excel. Just give me 5 minutes with you. And he's cutting and he's pasting and he's doing this. And so he's trying. I think, if he were, let me show him how to do Excel, we wouldn't have any problems.
Amazement 717. First off, I went 11-4 last week, so my record is 1 game off. You were correct. I fixed it. Seahawks need a O-line rip. Vadix 99, you're DQ'd from last week. Boy says, Andy, I went 12-3 last week, not 11-4, but my picks are as follows. Boy? I said I'll double check, and then 5 hours ago I double checked. You're right, boy. I fixed that in standings.
Who do you call him, boy?
So, speaking of standings, let's take a look at the sexy standings and everyone's favorite music. Now, it is time for Week 8 spread picks. And as far as the spread picks go, before we get to that, Albert Wilson got put on IR for the Dolphins, so Adam Gase has more injury issues. He just went off the other day. Tentatively, first of all, last week, you went 8-5-1. Great week. I went 7-6-1, so he beat me by a game.
Both over 500.
Both over 500, and tentatively, because we don't know whose standings are what, I believe Mclovein is a 2-game lead. I believe he's at 43, 44, and 4. And I am at 41, 46, and 4. So, let's go right on in to the Thursday night game. We have the Miami Dolphins, who are 4-3, 1-2 on the road Thursday night, going into Houston. Big game for both teams. 4-3, 2-1 at home. Houston favored by 7.5.
Miami plus 7.
Yeah, this is a funny line here.
Yep.
AAPM, we both have Miami plus 7.5. Okay, now, Sunday in London, another big game for both teams. Jacksonville 3-4, Philadelphia 3-4, facing Jacksonville 3-4. Jacksonville at Wembley Stadium is the home team.
Yeah.
Philly as the road team, favored by 3.
Philadelphia -3.
Okay. You think Philadelphia's going to beat? Blake Bortles is undefeated in London, and his stats are Hall of Fame-like. Are you taking Philadelphia -3?
Yeah,
okay. Then we got 1 o'clock game. I'm taking Philly -3. Jets 3-4, 1-2 on the road, going in to face Chicago. 3-3, 2-1 at home. Chicago -7.
The Jets somehow stick around. For some reason, they just stick around. Give me the Jets +7.
All right, I'm taking Chicago -7. Buccaneers 3-3, 1-2 on the road, going in to face Cincinnati. 4-3, 2-1 at home. Cincinnati at home, favored by 4.5.
Cincinnati -4.5.
Okay, agree there. Next up, we got the Seahawks, 3-3, 2-2 on the road, going into Ford Field to face Fat Matt Patricia and Paul Pascalones. 3-3, 2-1 at home. Detroit favored by 3.
Detroit -3.
Taking Seattle. Next up, we got Denver, 3-4, 1-2 on the road, going into face Kansas City, 6-1, 3-0 at home. Kansas City favored by 10.
Oof. Kansas City -10.
Taking Denver. I think this is going to be a funny game. I think Kansas City's going to win, but I think it's going to be a funny game. Redskins 4-2, 1-1 on the road. They win this game, they'll pull away. 4-2, 1-1 on the road, going in to face the New York Football Giants and Matt Schilling. 1-6, 0-3 at home. Washington only favored by 1.
Washington's just not a good road team, but you figure, give me Washington -1.
I agree. Next up, we got Cleveland, 2-4-1, 0-3 on the road, going in to face Pittsburgh. 3-2-1, 1-2 at home. Pittsburgh by 8.5.
Give me the Browns +8.5.
I agree. Baltimore 4-3, 2-2 on the road, going in to face Carolina. 4-2, 3-0 at home. Baltimore favored by 2 on the road.
Carolina plus the points.
Taking Baltimore. Next up, 4:05 game. Indianapolis 2-5, 1-3 on the road, going in to face the Oakland Raiders. 1-5, 1-2 at home. Indy favored by 3 on the road.
Oakland +3.
I agree. Green Bay 4:25 game. 3-2-1, 0-2 on the road, going in to face the Rams. 7-0, 3-0 at home. Rams favored by 9.5.
Oh, give me Green Bay all day.
Yep, I agree.
Plus the points.
I agree. San Francisco 1-6, 0-4 on the road, going in to face Arizona. 1-6, 0-4 at home. Arizona at home favored by 1.
Oh, God, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
I agree. The Sunday night game, we have the New Orleans Saints 5-1, 3-0 on the road, going in to face the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, that's a good game.
4-2-1, 2-1 at home.
Yeah.
Minnesota favored by 1 at home.
Wow.
It's the final zebra.
Probably the game of the week.
You're the game of the week.
Minnesota is
Favored by 1.
1. Oh, would you say 1 or 1.5?
1.
1.
It's the zebra time, yeah. Yeah.
It's a tricky game.
You're a tricky game.
New Orleans.
I also have them. And then last but not least, the New England Patriots, if you're Dan Fouts. 5-2, 1-2 on the road, Monday night, going into Buffalo.
Oh, boy.
To face the
Don't
Bills.
let me guess.
2-5, 1-1 at home.
Let me guess. 11.5?
No. You ready? Well, Pats are favored by 14.
Oh. New England -14.
Yeah, I'm taking New England -14 too. Here's why, though. This is the type of game that when you take the -14, they win by 7.
Yeah.
And when you take the Buffalo Bills +14, they win by 18. So the Pats offense is that good. Deep Buffalo. This could be ugly. Because, I mean, look, they got Derek Anderson at quarterback, and he threw 3 interceptions against the Colts defense. I mean, we're not talking the fucking 2000 Ravens here.
Sure.
Okay, whatever the case is. So let's, Dallas' favorite time, by the way. Does he have a Michelob Ultra ready?
Depending on the time he's watching it, yeah. If he's watching it right now, would be live, which would be virtually impossible. But he's getting ready to watch the.
It would be actually in
the World Series.
It would definitely be impossible. Yeah, World Series. We're about to watch that too.
Sure.
As soon as I'm done calling EDP 445, who comes at us every day with another video. Okay. I don't know if he knows I'm calling though. Uh-oh's right. Oh boy.
Hello there, young chap.
Shit.
Wait, you hung up on him?
No, it's not him. I thought it was him too. That's his voicemail. Here we go. He's calling me now. Hey, what's up, man?
I'm taking a shit.
No, it's it's all right. I'm sorry. I should have texted you like I normally do beforehand. Last week, EDP, you went 6-8. Mclovein went 8-6. I actually had a good week. I won 11-3. The updated standings will be on the vid. But here we go, EDP. You ready?
Yeah.
Live from the bathroom. Here we go. Thursday night's game. Miami goes in to face Houston.
Who gives a fuck? Houston. Oh, no. I'll take Houston.
All right, EDP's got Houston. Who you got? Ooh. Yeah, you have to. Yeah. No, taking Miami.
Oh boy.
Taking Miami. I just think Houston's won 4 in a row. I just think that Miami's defense, for some reason, I think will stop Houston's offense. All right, EDP, the game you love to hate. You got the Eagles and Jaguars in London. Who do you got?
You know what? Hold up. Fuck this shit. I got a fucking rant, dude, before I even get into my fucking clip. You know what? I want to find Howie Roseman and piss down his motherfucking throat. I'm so sick and tired of this fucking faggot-made bitch, man. I'm seriously going to take my fist and punch him in his motherfucking shit. That's no bullshit. You feel me? Because this is exactly the fuck why. I'm sitting back here and we have motherfucking needs at running back and fucking corners and fucking all this bullshit. You feel me? And this stupid fucking faggot is just fucking standing there. It's like, motherfucking like, now you understand why the city of Philadelphia only has 2 championships my name won in the past 6 fucking decades.
I love the passion.
And as much as I fucking, Andy, I know you're from the New England area. I want to just piss in every fucking bitch from Boston that I see, man. Except for you. Like, I swear, man, I just want to fucking dude, I want to fuck this shit up so badly. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, motherfucker, you can't hate because the bitches actually go out and do shit to fucking win. What the fuck is really going? I'm taking Jacksonville. Fuck this shit.
Dude, here's the thing.
I'll take Philadelphia.
All right, I'm taking Philly also, actually, in this game, but I would not be surprised. Yeah. Well, here's why. The last couple weeks, Jack has played her to the point where there's so much internal fighting within the locker room. Marone, I think, is losing the locker room based on everybody fighting. People are wanting to come to blows with one another. One of 2 things are going to happen. They go to London. Jacksonville goes to London. They have a team bonding mission or whatever on the plane, and they come out and they score 47 points and give up like 10. Or it's the exact opposite, and the plane's going to go fly down and crash because the pilot can't you got 400-pound linemen running through the doors and stuff like that, and then the Eagles will come out and win 27-17 or something like that. I want to look at the end of the day. I think there's too much. Look, and I know you follow the Eagles more than I do, obviously, and you're going to probably disagree with what I'm going to say, which is fine. But I'd like to believe that the players on the Eagles have more. This version of the Eagles, including because a lot of people are still on last year's team or on this year's team. People like Chris Long and everybody else. They have too much pride to have what happened in Carolina happen this week. You'd like to believe that. Here's the other thing, though, and I don't know if you've noticed this. Doug Peterson, he has never been. I remember when he called the plays against the Pats in the playoff game when he was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, and Andy Reid literally made him call the plays like for the 4th quarter. I forget exactly what happened, and he looked terrible. He looked like he had no idea what was going on half the time. And then he had that year that he had last year, which was, look, at the end of the day, Nick Foles had the 5 luckiest games of his life, or 3 luckiest games of his life. But this year, I think Doug Peterson in his play calling is the same Doug Peterson he's always been, which has been adequate at best. And I think that's also what's hurting you guys this year. Is Doug Peterson is not the version you saw of Doug Peterson last year is not the normal Doug Peterson.
Well, see, the thing is, bro, is the reason why he looked so fucking phenomenal last season is because he had Frank Wright and John DeFilippo sucking the fucking shit out that dumb, ignorant, arrogant fucking faggot in his goddamn mouth because the motherfucker was like, oh, guess what? I'm going to call a running play on 4th and 50. And then fucking John D. Flipper was like, no, bitch, punt the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know what, bro? And I don't mean to keep going on and on. But, like, man, I'm telling you, bro, this season is fucking over. It's done, dude. And like, I swear, bro, I don't give a fuck anymore, dude. I'm just so fucking done, dude. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good, man. You're good, man. This is passionate. On this show, we talk about football like men, so that's how men talk about football. All right? We got the Jets going in to face the Bears. Who do you got?
Bears.
Yep, we all have the Bears. We got the Buccaneers going in to face Cincinnati. Who do you got?
Cincinnati.
Yeah, I have to. Seahawks in Seattle going in to face Detroit.
Seattle going in to face Detroit. Is Seattle playing in Detroit?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. You know, and it's not because of what you think. I'm going to take Seattle simply due to the fact that I feel like Seattle's up on a hot streak, you know what I mean? And, you know, it really pisses me off because it's like I tell a lot of motherfuckers don't sleep on Seattle, and Seattle's just a team just ugly ass fucking win. You count them out, and they just find a fucking way to come back.
Detroit.
All right, Mclovein's the only one taking Detroit. I'm also taking Seattle. I think Seattle will win by 3 or 5, something like that. Denver. All right, here we go. Denver going in to face Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yeah, and I think this game is going to be a lot closer than most people think. Washington going in to face the Giants.
Shit, man. You know what? I'm going to take the Giants.
Washington.
All right, we both have Washington. But EDP, I would not be surprised if the Giants win 13-10. Cleveland going in to face Pittsburgh.
Cleveland.
Pittsburgh.
Okay, we're both taking Pittsburgh. Baltimore going in to face Carolina.
Baltimore. Fuck
Carolina.
All right, I agree with you, EDP. I think Baltimore is going to win. Indianapolis goes in to face Oakland.
Indianapolis. Oakland's fucked up, dude.
Oakland.
I'm also taking Oakland. Green Bay going in to face the Rams.
Green Bay. Upset, bitch.
Rams.
All right, I'm also taking the Rams. San Francisco going in to face Arizona.
Oh, fuck. Who wants to watch that shit?
Nobody.
Oh, fuck, man.
By the way, EDP, right now, if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan and you want to go see this game, there are 2,905 tickets as low as $24.
Holy shit.
What did I tell you if they're
You
winning?
know, the fucking prices my nigga for the Eagles, man. But they sucking dick.
$24. You want to go see an Eagles game, $24 won't even get you into the porta potty outside.
Nigga, I don't even think that can get you a fucking place to park.
Yeah.
No, it won't.
No, it won't. McLovin says no, it won't. So we got Arizona and we got San Francisco.
Arizona, I don't know. Fuck.
San Francisco.
I'm also taking San Francisco. And then Sunday night, this is a good game. This is a pastrami fries type of game. We got New Orleans going in to face Minnesota.
New Orleans, I'll take New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Oh, we're all taking New Orleans. I thought you took Minnesota plus the points.
No, I took New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, you did take New Orleans. You're right. And I also take New Orleans. And then Monday night, New England goes in to face Buffalo.
Oh, you fucking bitch. I love you, man. You God damn it. That's a fucking joke, man. That's a fucking good one. Oh, what the fuck did I
If Buffalo beats New England, I'm telling you right now, Pat.
Yes.
If Buffalo, look, if they somehow beat New England,
Yep.
and I'm not talking about Tom Brady getting injured. That's besides the point, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That is Brian Hoyer versus who knows who.
Yep.
But if Buffalo beats New England,
Yep.
this is the worst New England team since Belichick took over.
Oh,
even worse than the 2000s. There's no excuse. You tell me right now how acceptable
Why
would
are
it be?
you even bringing this up?
Wait, how acceptable would it be if Buffalo beat New
It
England?
wouldn't be. It would be unacceptable.
Okay. What are the odds? It'd be the biggest one of the. It's 14 points.
What do you? Where is this coming from?
I'm just telling you.
Do you think they're going to lose?
Do I think Buffalo's going to lose?
No, do you think New England's going to lose?
No, there's no way. But I'm just telling you, I didn't think New England was going to lose to Detroit. And they got molested.
I don't know why you get so fired up. I'm taking the pass.
All right, EDP, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate. Oh, this is interesting, and I'm going to tell you right now. Listen to this. And I wanted to text you about this, and I forgot. But while I have you on the phone, this is going to be an interesting comment. I want you to hear this. Okay? You still there, EDP?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, listen to this. Okay? So on that video I did with the Logan thing, all right, there's a guy that commented. Listen to what he says. I can't even believe all the comments people have made on this video. But Gene Starwind, guys by the name of Gene Gene Starwind says, Logan 30 Acre is a known scammer and a POS piece of shit sociopath who takes advantage of this system's weaknesses and preys on children's views for money. This is not the first person he's done this to, and if you look a little deeper, you'll find out for yourself. I can't wait till reality catches up with his ass. And then he says, by the way, very nice retro game collection, my man. I'm going to comment and say, hey, thanks, man.
Oh, shit.
So this apparently is not his first rodeo when it comes to this type of shit.
But do you feel like he's saying that because he's like, honestly legit, like he's a fucked up person, or is he just saying that, for some fanboy shit?
Well, here's the thing. He's not a fanboy of me, obviously. I'm a nobody. But do I think he's just commenting just to pile on? There's a difference between piling on comments, like people who just say, "Yeah, fuck you," you know what I mean, something like that, versus what he just said. I think he has. There's obviously, look, if I asked him to explain, I'm sure he would. I think this is a real comment. Some of these on here are like, oh yeah, here's Logan has admitted to plane trauma, or Logan probably had his fuckface Jeffy fans take EDP's channel down, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Those are real comments, but then there are people, oh, who the hell's Techno Sinister? Oh, my bad, bro, I'm a fucking sociopath? Who the hell's this?
Yeah, no clue.
That's weird.
What's next game?
That is, we're done.
Okay.
All right, that's the show. All right, but before you leave, okay, because we're talking EDP here.
I get you.
Okay, but that's pretty much it. Mclovein's just hurt because you said that I'm the only
I gotta piss.
Oh, you do?
I do.
We can't edit this out.
What do you mean?
I can't edit this conversation out. It's going to be live now.
What are you talking about?
The fact that you got to piss?
What's wrong with that?
Nothing's wrong with it. People are going to know you had to piss. Anyway,
I got to piss. You guys are carrying on like two broads on a talk show.
Yeah, man, that's raw shit right there.
Yeah, it is.
That was great.
All right, man. We'll talk to you, bro. Thanks a lot for coming on.
No problem, man. I'll catch you later, man.
All right, man. And since Mclovein's got to piss, as always,
See you next week.
fuck you.